We ask, oh God, that at this time you remember those that lost their lives. And we thank you, God, that you've put us in a situation in a country that promotes freedom. But we know all our freedom, all our trust, all our hope lies in you. We ask now, God, that you would bless that country, bless those members that lost their lives, bless their families, God, and give us peace. Help us, oh God, to just understand one another. We don't have to agree, but, oh God, just let us get along with one another. We ask, oh God, at this time that you would bless this day, this town, God. Bless this leadership, this mayor, but most of all, bless the people, God. Help us to bind together, God, to just love one another all the more. And as we enter into this season of Thanksgiving, we give thanks, God, that things are as well as they are. We thank you, oh God, because things we see could be so much worse. Now, God, let us in this season embrace someone that may not have as much as we do. Help us, oh God, to provide food, shelter, clothing for those that do not. And most of all, God, just help us hug someone and tell them we love them. Now, God, we turn this meeting over to you. We ask, oh God, that we would be decent in order, that everything that's said, that we would remember not only ourselves, but all of us corporately. We thank you now and we praise you. All our trust is in you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Well, first and foremost, we want to welcome you all to Coffee with the Mayor on behalf of the Honorable Mayor Riley Rogers. I'd like to thank you for coming out this morning. First of all, we want to thank all the elected officials and department heads, and of course you, the citizens, for coming out here this morning. If you could all give yourselves a round of applause for being in a great place at a great time. Also, it gets our blood circulating a little bit because it's a little cool in here. We're going to address that. Of course, we're normally upstairs, but today we're going to be in here. They've turned up the heat, and so it's going to start coming up. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we have addressed that problem, so we don't want you all to, don't fret. The heat will be able to be felt. In fact, I feel it right now. It's getting warmer as we speak. Hopefully you've had a chance to get over to the table and get some coffee or have some fruit or some pastries. Of course, we want you to enjoy that. And we also would like for you all to thank Mayor Rogers. Of course, this is the second Saturday of every month where we come together to hear many of your concerns and answer any questions. And today we have a very informative presentation. Now today, as you can see, Mayor Rogers is in the back there. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. So he won't be having too many words today, but definitely you know he's going to be meeting and greeting and talking to you all, but he's feeling a little bit under the weather. So we'll be handling things for him today. But I'd like to bring forth, because we have an information-packed presentation for you with some slides and information that you need to know. I want to bring before you Mariana Spiropoulos, who is the Commissioner of the Water Reclamation District of Chicago, and Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, and she's going to give us some very important information that you need. So please welcome with a warm round of applause, Ms. Spiropoulos.
Well, thank you so much, especially for pronouncing my name correctly. It's always a big challenge. It's Mariana Spiropoulos, rhymes with metropolis. So, no reason to get it wrong. So I am the president of the Board of Commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. And that's a mouthful, so we call it the district, or the water rec, and we're a county-wide agency. And we do two things. We treat wastewater and we manage stormwater. Probably one of the most important things that a society can do is the hygiene and health of the community is dependent on what we do at the Water Reclamation District. So I'm going to go through a little bit about what we do at the agency on this slide presentation to give you sort of some of the issues that we're facing and some of the things that we're looking at in the future. Okay, so one of the reasons why you should care about this agency is we protect the water supply. Water is very important to us as a community. Number two, we're dependent on tax dollars. So your property taxes, on your property tax bill, there's a small line that goes to the maintenance of our 7 filtration plants, which I'll get into in a moment. And to keep that checks and balances at the agency, because there are tax dollars, there's an elected board of 9 commissioners. So that's the screen that you see on the board now. And in the center, I'm the president of the Board of Commissioners. I was elected unanimously by the rest of the commissioners in January to be the president. And on my right is Barb McGowan, our vice president. On my left is Frank Avila, our chairman of finance. Our mission at the Water Reclamation District is to protect our water environment. We are a $1 billion agency, and a lot of that money goes to electricity to maintain our 7 filtration plants. So everything that comes from your sink, your dishwasher, your washing machine, your toilet, your shower, all of that goes into the local sewer system and then is transported to one of our treatment plants throughout the county. So if any of you has a group that would be interested in a tour of one of our plants, my office would be happy to set that up. Just don't wait for the height of summer when it's very warm and a little aromatic. So back in the 1880s, we were created by the state legislature, and we were called the Sanitary District of Chicago. Chicago used to put its waste in the Chicago River, and that ran east into Lake Michigan, which was a source of everyone's drinking water. So put 2 and 2 together, not a good combination. People were getting sick. Cholera and dysentery were something that was commonplace at that time because we had contaminated water. So we reversed the flow of the river in the year 1900. So we're the agency that did that. You've probably heard about that as a part of Chicago history, and the Water Reclamation District did that. So one of the reasons why the water cribs, if you ever go to Lake Michigan, you see those water cribs 2 miles outside of the shore of the city of Chicago. The reason why they're located 2 miles out is because when they were bringing fresh drinking water into the city, they had to bypass a lot of that contamination. And today, they're still located 2 miles outside of the city. And whenever you go to Lake Michigan, you can see that they're still located there. So throughout time, in 1900, we reversed the flow of the river. We're still putting the waste in the river in 1900, but now it's going west instead of east. So towns like St. Louis were receiving Chicago's contaminated water. They weren't happy. They filed a lawsuit. It went up to the Supreme Court of the United States, but the Supreme Court found for Chicago. So as Chicago grows, we have this incredible population growth because we have great water and navigable waterways. We start building filtration plants. 1920s and 1930s, we built 7 filtration plants throughout Cook County. And the one that services this area is the Calumet plant. But the Stickney plant is one of the largest plants in the world. We have visitors from all over the world that come to see how we, particularly lately, we've gotten a lot of visitors from China because they have a lot of environmental challenges over there right now. And so they want to see how we deal with this process. But our Stickney plant is probably where you would go for a tour if you set that up. So this just shows you, when I was telling you the solids and liquids that come from your home or businesses or any kind of structure, they all go to the treatment plant. This is the process that it goes through. You got solids and liquids coming, they get separated. The solids will become biosolids. I'll talk about that a little later. The liquid becomes effluent. And we clean it up according to EPA standards, and we release it into the CalSag, and it goes down to the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. So as I indicated before, this is a diagram from 1820. Chicago's putting its waste in the river. Now, if you got one person living in the area, that's not a problem. But when you have 500,000 people, putting the waste in the river becomes a huge problem. So we had to address that. And here's the population growth. This is from 1850. An incredible amount of people attracted to the Chicagoland area. And this slide shows you the contamination that would go into the lake before the reversal of the river. So then in 1900, we built the Sanitary and Ship Canal and the Calumet Sag Channel, and that was the way that they reversed the river. It was by gravitation and canal excavation. And this shows you how they did the canal excavation. So early municipal sewers, I told you that we treat wastewater and we manage stormwater. Most of the systems throughout Cook County are combined sewers, which means you have stormwater and wastewater together. A lot of times you'll hear when there's a heavy rainstorm, people say don't use your dishwasher, don't take a shower at that time. That's to lessen the volume of flow that's going into your local sewer system. So if you can wait until after the storm is over and then take your shower or run your dishwasher, then it's not competing for space to go into the local sewer system. So over time, I told you that we built 7 filtration plants. That pipe that's in the center is an interceptor, and that is how everything is transported to our treatment plants. But still, when you had a heavy rainstorm, because we have combined sewer system, it would go into the waterway. In the 1960s, we came up with the idea of the Deep Tunnel Project, also called TARP, Tunnel and Reservoir Plan. And that is designed to take the overflow from the local sewer system and the interceptors. Now, the Deep Tunnel is 2 parts. It's 109 miles of intersecting tunnels throughout Cook County and 3 reservoirs. You might be familiar with one of the reservoirs called the Thornton Reservoir. It's one of the reservoirs that serves the Dalton area. It serves 14 different communities, but Dalton is one of them. And that is designed to take the overflow and reduce flooding. So this is a diagram to show you the local sewer system, the interceptors, as well as the deep tunnel, and then the reservoir and how that flow would occur. So here's a visual of the Thornton Reservoir in case you haven't seen it in person, but if you've gone over I-80, you've probably noticed these large holes on one side or another. Can you see? Any way to reduce the lighting so people can see the... No? Someone was suggesting maybe reducing the lighting so they could see the... We'll try to do that. But in case, if you want to go see it in person, drive over I-80 and you'll notice these large craters on each side. So basically, this is a quarry system. It's an active quarry, and the Water Reclamation District entered into an agreement with the quarry to take over one of the lobes and convert it into a reservoir. This reservoir will hold 7.9 billion gallons of water. It sounds like a lot of water. However, 1 inch of rain throughout Cook County is 14 billion gallons of water. And when we have these heavy rain events, we know we're getting more than 1 inch. So we have to be able to accommodate that. And using a reservoir and a tunnel system is one way to do that. And I'll explain a few more of the components that we're using to help reduce flooding. So just to give you an idea of how big this is, the Thornton Reservoir could hold 6 soldier fields. Six soldier fields on the bottom, and then you can stack another 6 soldier fields on top. So it's pretty big. And here's a visual to show you how much water will be held in the 3 reservoirs. The 3 reservoirs are located geographically. We got one near O'Hare. The Majewski Reservoir will hold 300 million gallons of water. The Thornton Reservoir, 7.9 billion. And then McCook is the last reservoir that we're working on, will hold 10 billion gallons of water. Here's the boring machine that we use to create the deep tunnel. There's not a lot of boring machines throughout the world, and it was also used to create the channel between England and France. They have a tunnel underneath the waterway, and this is one of the machines to use it. And here's your end product. Our deep tunnel is 300 feet down, and it's 30 feet in diameter. And they also lined it because it will have combined sewage with the storm water, and we don't want that seeping into the community. So it took a long time and a lot of federal dollars to create this project. Other communities and countries also use a deep tunnel type of mechanism to control their flooding, because we know with climate change we're getting more and more rain, and we have to be able to prepare for it. So if you ever come downtown, 100 East Erie is our headquarters. You're welcome to come in and check out our control room. This is the control room, and I'm here with some Chinese visitors, but basically we have an engineer that monitors the weather 24/7. We have to anticipate a heavy rainstorm because we will then, the chart on the right controls the water levels in the CalSag, excuse me, in the Sanitary and Ship Canal. We can lower the levels of those waterways by releasing some of that water in order to accommodate more rain. So just a chart to show you, we are getting more and more heavier rainstorms. So the system that we have is a tunnel, reservoirs, but we're also looking at how can we reduce the amount of volume that's going in there. We're using green infrastructure. And I know the mayor has signed up for our rain barrel program, and those are free rain barrels for the community. And that's part of green infrastructure. Think of green infrastructure as a toolbox of different types of mechanisms to capture the water at the front end of the process. You can use a green roof, and I'll show you examples of that. We're partnering with the Chicago Public Schools to convert playgrounds into green space so that water can be absorbed. We've targeted communities that have heavy flooding and converting those playgrounds into a great space that's going to absorb stormwater. We're also working with communities to create detention, retention areas. And homeowners can do things as well to reduce flooding, and here's some examples of that. Lateral drain inspection, downspout disconnection, sump pump. I'm not a plumber, I'm just an attorney, so I don't understand these things, but these are what the experts tell me. City of Chicago had a great project, which is on hold due to their financial challenges right now, but basically converting their alleys into green space. So you go from something like this with asphalt concrete that would not absorb the water, and then the next slide shows you that they use pavers which absorbed all that water. That's a part of green infrastructure. That's one of the components that you can use. At the Stickney plant, we have porous pavement in our parking lot. We wanted to test different components to see what would absorb that water, and we found that these pavers were the best way to do that. I talked about our rain barrel program. We're giving away 15,000 rain barrels countywide, and we're working with communities because that's the best way to reduce the volume that's going into the system. When you're working with communities, you have large quantities of those rain barrels being installed in various municipalities. And we've had a lot of success with the different wards in the city of Chicago, as well as the municipalities in Cook County. So here's an example of your rain barrel setup. You'd put your downspout right on top of the rain barrel. You'd set it up with a hose if that's what you like. There's also a spout on the side. You can use it to water your plants. Your plants love the rainwater, just as well as the potable water. You don't need to use the water that you drink. They're happy with storm water. And you're saving 50 gallons for water conservation, as well as reducing the volume that's going into the system. So it serves several purposes. A rain garden is another option. I was talking to you about green infrastructure. Think of different ways to capture the water at the front end. Rain barrels, rain gardens, bioswales. Bioswales is just creating a green space. Instead of having it all be concrete, create a green space to absorb that water. Green alleys and walkways. Another greenway is just any kind of greens. There are shrubs, plants, and trees that hold water better than others. If they have deep roots, they'll hold that water, and that's just another mechanism to include in your strategy against flooding. So I was talking to you about Chicago Public Schools and how we're partnering with the different schools to reduce the flooding in the area. This is a school near Chinatown that we converted. We worked with the kids to create a rain garden. And here's a rendering from another school. This whole space will be a green space. It's all going to be able to absorb water. So you've got a lot of positives here. You have a great space for kids to learn. Teachers can take the kids outside for a classroom environment, and you're creating a great space for the neighborhood as well as reducing flooding. City of Chicago has a green roof, so it's a nice example of the green roof. The other side is the county side. There's no green roof there. So, but we have a green roof at the Racine Pumping Station. So that's another place that you go for a tour, and please ask to go see the green roof. We go out and talk to the communities about green infrastructure. We have to use some of that on our facilities as well. I talked to you about the solids and liquids going to our treatment plant. Biosolids is our end product. We have a never-ending supply of it. And basically what we're using is we're giving it away to golf courses. Harborside Golf Course was one of the recipients of our biosolids. It's a free product. Athletic fields, Chicago Park districts, golf courses, we deliver our biosolids for free and they use it. What we're looking at in the future is to create this as a revenue stream. You can go to Home Depot and you can buy Milorganite. You've probably heard of Milorganite or purchased it yourself. That's Milwaukee's biosolids. So why not buy Chicago's biosolids, right? So we'll try to market that at a reasonable price and be able to reduce our tax burden by creating that revenue stream. Blackport Powerhouse is another one of our facilities. It creates hydropower. It creates around $100,000 worth of hydropower in Lockport. And if you're interested in a tour of that as well, it was built around the year 1900. Sort of an interesting facility to see. I handed out some brochures to you about one of the topics is proper disposal of pharmaceuticals. So everyone at one time in their life or another has taken pharmaceuticals. If you have expired or old pharmaceuticals that you want to dispose of, don't put them down the toilet, don't put them down the drain. Better to throw them either in the garbage or a collection site that will take them and properly dispose of them. But the takeaway here is don't throw it down the toilet or the drain. Keep it out of the water supply. Also, I'm just going to do a little plug. We have a mobile app. If you see any odors, waterway blockages, or general incidences of pollution in waterways, you can download our site, our app on your phone and let us know where that location is. Then we can send someone and work with the local community to clean that up and make sure it's addressed. We can't be everywhere, all over the county, but if you citizens sometimes help make our job a lot easier. We also have a 1-800 number, and we have our website as well. So I'm closing and just going to give you a little food for thought. We were talking with some residences earlier about our water supply. We know that you can't survive more than a couple of days without water. And in the Chicagoland area, we're very lucky. We have 20% of the world's fresh water in our backyard. So this is just a visual to show you how much of the Earth's water is available. And it may look like a lot when you go to Lake Michigan, but it's not that much when you're looking at it in terms of the rest of the planet. This is not an ad for Jurassic Park. I'm basically just trying to tell you that the water that we have today is the same water that existed at the time of the dinosaurs. There's no new water. It's just evaporation, precipitation, and it goes in a cycle. Unless there's an aquifer that we haven't tapped into in the Earth's surface somewhere, which that is possible, but it's the same cycle over and over again. So when you fill up your glass of water, just think, you know, our friends, the dinosaurs, may have been drinking that water a few million years ago. And I'm on social media for updates, and I'm happy to take questions. Anybody have any questions? I think you're just so... Yes, sir. The mayor has a question.
I have a cold today, and
I hope you feel better
I don't
soon.
want to spread it. But we've had a lot of flooding in the south suburbs. Can you tell us a little bit about how this Thornton Reservoir is going to help us, and how many communities does it actually serve in the south suburbs?
Okay, so the question was, if you didn't hear, the mayor was asking, we have a lot of flooding in the area. How will Thornton Reservoir reduce that, the incidences of flooding? So yes, it's going to serve. It serves the Dalton area. It actually serves 14 communities, about 500,000 people, and we anticipate through our calculations that the Thornton Reservoir will reduce about $40 million in flooding damage over time. And how it's going to work is, if you remember the slide that we saw before where you had your local sewer system, and then it goes to the interceptor, and the interceptor then overflows into the deep tunnel and the reservoirs. So it's supposed to be an overflow type mechanism that will take the extra water that when the previous component, the interceptor or the local sewer system is full, it then overflows into the next part of that system. So you get your local sewer system, it then has to go to the interceptor, to the deep tunnel, and then the reservoir, and that's the Thornton Reservoir. However, some of the local sewer system, combined with the fact that we have more impermeable surface, and what I mean by that is 40% of Cook County is impermeable surface. meaning it's asphalt or concrete and the water can't absorb into the ground. So if you keep taking away those surfaces throughout Cook County, then that water cannot absorb into the ground. We have also older sewer systems, which are smaller pipes, which were designed for a time when we didn't have these heavy rainstorms. And that is why we're looking at the green infrastructure component. We're looking at reservoirs, detentions, different things that you can hold that water at the front end so it's not all competing to go through. But to answer your question, the Thornton Reservoir is part of a system to reduce the flooding in combination with the green infrastructure. And we're hoping that, working together, we can reduce the incidences of flooding in the area.
I'm not sure if this is something you can answer, but I know there was some excessive flooding for some of the residents, and there was some type of program that was available to assist them with the flooding, or the county was buying property or buying houses. Is that available?
Yes. So one of the programs that we recently went to Springfield to ask for permission to be able to purchase flood-prone properties at market price. This is something that we will work with the local communities on, and instead of residences having to deal with the same type of situation over and over and over again in terms of, your house repeatedly floods and you're repeatedly having to replace your personal belongings and it causes a health hazard, etc. Sometimes the best option is to purchase the property and to relocate. And that is something that we have a program, and we can certainly talk to you about that to see if that's something that will help you address your constituents' concerns.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yes.
You mentioned the fact of the city of Chicago and your sticking plant put in pavers.
Yes.
That allow for additional drainage. Is there any funding for that, say for our town, if we want to try that as a pilot program?
So one of the questions was pavers. That we used pavers at our Stickney plant in the parking lot to absorb the water. And is there a program? We oftentimes have municipalities come to us with a shovel-ready project that they've hired an engineer to look at to see if there is a component that we can assist with. So yes, that's a possibility. That the Water Reclamation District could participate in terms of funding or having engineers look at some of the projects to see what we can do to assist flooding. We treat wastewater, we manage stormwater, so anything that falls under that category is something that we certainly want to start a discussion with you about.
And Madam President, how long have you been serving now?
So I was appointed by Governor Quinn in 2009 to an opening on the board, and then I was elected in 2010. So I'm in my first term.
Okay, great. And you also up for election, is that correct?
And yes.
Okay. What election are you up for now?
I think there's a primary coming up next March.
All right, great.
That's what they tell me.
We can't openly endorse you today, but she is our friend and she's trying to help us in the South Suburb. And should you consider her as our continue to be our president of the Water Reclamation District?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Since he brought up the question about pavers, how can homeowners have pavers how can the homeowner incorporate pavers in their yard?
Well, that's certainly something that you'd want to talk to your local municipality about, because there could be restrictions or there may be a program, but that would be my first point of contact. I would talk to the local municipality about using infrastructures. Some communities have restrictions in terms of what they can use, and others have programs where they can help you. Yes, sir, in the baseball. Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of that, but right next door to Michigan.
Don't walk too far. Don't walk too far.
There are pumping contaminated water in Flint, Michigan, and other places like that out there. Are you aware of that?
I've heard something to that effect.
Yes, and basically this water is so bad that General Motors won't even use it, but they're pumping it to the residents right now. And I was just wondering, if we have any infrastructure problems similar to what they have in Michigan that would cause this to happen?
I am not aware of anything that would cause something like that to us. I know that the city of Chicago has a very good process in place for that when that water comes. So we're not drinking water, we're wastewater. The city of Chicago is responsible for the drinking water. So when that water comes in to the city, They have an incredible process to make sure that it meets certain, and it would never come in to on a contamination level. Yes, sir, in the baseball cap.
Mr. Sparappolo, 1 inch of water column rain producing 14 million gallons. With the 7.9 reservoir that we have, and you said $40 million being saved, what type of time frame are we talking here? I know you said over a period of time, but do you have any idea what type of time frame with that amount of money would be saved?
We're hoping over in the first year.
Within the first?
That is according to our calculations. But if we get heavier storms, if there's something that we haven't been able to calculate, we're sort of subject to Mother Nature and what she wants to do. But we're working within those parameters to see that how we can reduce the damage to the community. So that's what our calculations show us so far. Yes, sir. In the baseball cap.
Yeah, I just want to let
Could you repeat the question when they asked me?
we have a tunnel under the Little Calumet River on 158th Street. We have a station in our park where they dug 300 feet below the riverbed, dig that tunnel. It started in 2001, so it's complete, so it should relieve some of the flooding in this area.
So that was more of a statement, right? We were just talking about, okay, so the gentleman indicated that there is a tunnel underneath the Calumet River that's 300 feet down and it will reduce the flooding. Yes, ma'am.
The rain barrel program, now I ordered them like October 2nd. When they deliver them, will they help you install them or they just be dropping them off?
We can do that. We can help with installation. It all depends on how the mayor would like to handle that. So we'll be in communication with his office to see, how we can do that if he wants us to help, or maybe he has staff that wants to help install and then talk to people about other programs. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Concerning the rain barrel, as you said, to add to that, would there be a cost for the residents of Dalton to install?
I don't think so. Mr. Mayor, one of the questions is there a cost to the citizens of Dalton in order to have installation of the rain barrel?
No, we really don't install them. We started off with some minor requests for the rain bill. Now I think it's up to about 400 or 500.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can hear me. There's really no installation program in place for us to install the rain barrels. Dwayne, I think Trustee Mohammed has been working closely with this. We initially started off very slowly with rain barrels. Now I think the request is up to about 400. The rain barrels were delivered in a 24-hour manner. Now, since we got busier with it, it's taking just a little bit longer, but usually within the week.
Yes, Trustee Dwayne Muhammad. Good morning, everyone. The installation of the rain barrel is very simple, but if you have any questions with the installation of the rain barrel, just call the Village Hall and someone would help you with it. But it's a do-it-yourself installation.
And there's no cost.
And at no cost. I think that's what the question was, no cost. Does that answer your question, ma'am? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. How far off the ground should you put your rain barrel? Well, if you saw, you can actually put it on the ground if you want, but the higher you put it, the easier it is to put your bucket underneath and turn on the spout, or if you want to use the hose. So it's up to you, whatever your preference.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When you talked about purchasing homes, is that all you do for residents is purchase homes? And what I mean by that is, we know that people are challenged with homes, a lot of issues. So sometimes it's great that you are able to purchase someone's home, maybe take them out from under the mortgage, but you don't offer any other assistance to help them purchase another home. If they have credit issues, you offer credit counseling. Is it just you buy the home and that's it, and then whatever happens is entirely up to the resident?
Well, so the question is, do we do anything else for the residents, or do we just buy the home? Usually what we're doing is we're working with the local municipality to do that. So, no, the financing just goes for the purchase of the home. But I'm sure that the local municipality would, in one way or another, provide some kind of assistance to help the homeowner go to the next step.
But you just,
For the Water Reclamation District's purposes, we just purchased the home. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I hope that was interesting, some useful information. Next time you brush your teeth, turn off the faucet before you're ready to rinse. You'll save 5 gallons of water. So you'll do your part for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear it again from Ms. Spiropoulos, President of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Chicago. Thank you so much for that information. We want to recognize some of our elected officials who are here with us today. Of course, as I look back, I see our village clerk, Mary Kay Dugan, who is there in the back. Give her a round of applause. We saw briefly Trustee Dwayne Muhammad is with us today. He was up here just now speaking to the crowd there. Of course, we have our police chief who is present, and also our Fire Chief Pete McCain, and our police chief, Robert Collins.
good morning, everyone. I will do my best to, at least in terms of my remarks, be brief. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I am Will Davis. I'm representative of the 30th District, which for the Village of Dalton is anyone who lives essentially from Chicago Road going back west. That's the part of Dalton that I represent. I want to thank Mayor Rogers for giving us the opportunity to be here. I was with him yesterday in a meeting where he's trying to save a business that's talking about leaving the community, and he's working very hard to make sure that that business remains so it can continue to be a contributor to the tax base here in the Village of Dalton. So we appreciate all of his work and his efforts. And I don't know if she's spoken already, but let me just put a plug in for Ms. D. Renee Jackson. Please wave. Hello. She is running for judge, ladies and gentlemen. And we always talk about judges on the ballot. They're at the end of the ballot, and there's usually a lot of them. Sometimes we skip them because we don't know who they are. We don't know anything about them. But if you have the opportunity to learn about this young lady, you should do so. When you talk about our communities and having people on the bench that are compassionate, that are concerned about the disposition of our youth and the communities that we live in, I think this young lady will do the right thing for our young people. She is a practicing attorney who works with young people all the time in terms of being their attorney, and she wants to take her experiences, she has years of experience, and wants to take that to the bench and be an advocate for our communities, for our young people on the bench. So again, if you don't know Ms. Renee Jackson, please take the opportunity to get to know her. Please do. What's happening with the state? I mean, you see us on the news, you hear about us all the time. You probably heard about some of the things more recently that were just discussed. If anybody watches Chicago Tonight on Channel 11, I had the opportunity to be on that show a couple of nights ago to talk about some of the challenges with the state budget. And what I can say is that the challenges aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We are in a very, very different situation dealing with the current governor. And that's not to say that some of you, whether you are Democrat or Republican in this room, it really doesn't matter. But we've never had a situation where a governor has decided to make such drastic changes to programs. These are his decisions. He will blame the legislature. But if you go back and look, you can look at his budget. His budget presented challenges in terms of funding for programs and services for youth and for seniors. And then what we've been dealing with is his arbitrary decision to cut funding for programs. So particularly when we talk about child care, while there's a lot of discussion about it now, where that conversation began is the fact that the governor said, you know what, I think there are too many families who are receiving a subsidy for child care. So I'm going to change the eligibility requirements so fewer families will be eligible. That's what the governor did, ladies and gentlemen. And what we've been trying to do is restore those requirements so more families can be eligible for child care. So it's about how you understand what is taking place here. Now, I know I can't cover it all right here, right now, But if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to talk to you on the phone, come to your homes if I need to. You can come to my office, and I want to make sure that we are all educated on exactly what is happening in state government and the impact that some of these decisions that the governor is making are having on our communities. Think about it. If a family who needs the subsidy for their children to go to daycare so they can work, if they don't have that subsidy, that means they're making a decision. So yes, I can work, but that means I may need to leave my young children at home by themselves. I think we've heard what could happen when we have young children at home by themselves. So we don't need to go down that path. But the governor talks about he wants people to work. His actions have not shown that he wants more people in the state of Illinois working. So it's very, very important. We need you to continue to be advocates. We need you to continue to be vocal. Wherever you fall in this conversation, we still need to hear from you. We want to hear your voice. We want to know how you feel about it. And if you have any questions, it's important that you reach out to myself as your representative, your other representative on the other side of Chicago Road is Thaddeus Jones, and our senator is Napoleon Harris. So please reach out to us so we can engage in a dialogue with you about what's happening here in state government. So that being said, if there are any questions or anybody has anything pressing, I'll be more than happy to try to answer it for a couple of moments if the mayor will allow me to indulge a moment. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So it's true that they're probably going to release the funds for home care?
For home care?
For the child care, daycare.
Well, what happened is, initially what happened is the governor reduced the eligibility requirements. So there was an effort to try to bring the eligibility requirements back up. So what people are talking about the deal is that the governor, I guess, went somewhere in the middle. So some families will be able to be eligible for daycare, but not everybody. I think we're told that over the last 4 months, about 70,000 families lost their eligibility. So some of those families will come back because the requirements were raised a little bit, or lowered, if you will. So some families will come back. But the effort was to try to bring all the families back. And that effort fell short. So some families, yes, but we still have a number of families who are not going to be eligible for those child care subsidies. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Hi, I just want to ask you, and I know mailing costs a lot, but if any way possible, you can mail us out that information.
Repeat the question, repeat the question.
Is there any way we can, what specifically do you need, ma'am?
I want the information on what the governor decided to do about what you just said, about giving, changing the eligibility for some of the daycare owners.
Well, I can assure you that daycare owners are very engaged, and I talk to my daycare owners in the district often. In terms of mailing information, probably don't have the budget to mail information, but we can email. We can if there's, you want to provide me with an email address, I can send you information, and maybe many of the residents that you know, you communicate with them via email, and then they can share information. So let's figure out how we can share. Absolutely. Absolutely, and if anybody is online or knows how to go online, certainly you can also read some of this information online as well. But we can more certainly work with you to try to create some a pathway to share information. Yes, ma'am.
Where's the child care assistance at now? I know it was voted down in the last couple of days. What is that actually at?
So again, we had the initial changes by the governor. The bills that were voted on in the House were attempts to bring it back to, I believe it's 185% of poverty. I think right now the governor did make some changes, and I think his changes are 165% of poverty. So he's made it so that some families can come back. But the conversation was about bringing all of the families back, and that fell short because we didn't have enough votes to pass Senate Bill 570 for that purpose.
Okay. I'm great. Thank you. We're represented by 2 state representatives, and
Put it up to you, put it close to you.
I'm just not trying to pass my code off to anybody, but we're kind of in a unique situation. The village of Dalton is represented by 2
state representatives. Our town is divided. The west half of Dalton is represented by State Representative Will Davis. Our east side is represented by Thaddeus Jones. And of course, our illustrious Senator Harris, which I'd like to bring him up right now, he represents not only the village of Dalton, but a number of South suburban communities and a portion of the city of Chicago. So if you can welcome me, help me welcome our Senator Napoleon Harris.
Good morning. Good morning. Come on now, let's be a little lively in here. Good morning. Good morning. All right, that's what I'm talking about. It's a pleasure to be here today. I am State Senator Napoleon Harris, and it's always a joy to come back and be a part of Coffee with the Mayor. As my colleague mentioned about what's going on in Springfield, I mean, myself, Representative Jones, Representative Davis, we fight hard each and every time we're down in Springfield for the residents of our communities that we serve. So when I thought about that, I was thinking about, and as a young lady, as Trustee Stubbs was asking, communication. How can we get this information to you, the resident? I think communication is so important because if you guys don't know what's going on, you guys don't know what we're fighting for, and if we don't hear from you, we don't know what to fight for. So today is an opportunity for you guys to relate to us what's important to you. One thing I always stress when I talk in certain platforms and give an opportunity, we work for you. Our job is to make your lives easier and to make sure that the issues that that's concerning our state, the issues that's concerning our communities, are the issues that concern you. It is our job to make sure that we represent the interests of our communities. So first and foremost, I want to say your input is so critical to be able to articulate to us the needs. So for me, it's simple. Listen to the communities, listen to our leadership here in our cities and municipalities, and represent that down in Springfield. One thing I can honestly say, Dalton has done an excellent job in communicating with my office, and we've done the same back. So give you a round of applause to Mayor Riley Rogers and his extraordinary leadership. Representative Davis talked about a meeting that we attended on yesterday. It was a meeting with a business here in the village of Dalton who employs a lot of people. They pay hefty taxes to this community and to this state. And they're considering making some changes. And I think under the leadership of Mayor Rogers, we were able to negotiate them staying to a degree, because we need to make sure that those tax dollars stay here to make sure that we alleviate some of the issues dealing with our communities. We all know, give a round of applause to Mayor Rogers because he's done a great job. And one of the things that I respect about Mayor Rogers and that was so important, because all through the meeting they wanted, but he made sure that the interest of his community was on top. One thing for sure, they wanted to say, well, we could just do this and do that. He said, no. My citizens come first. He said, we're not going to allow any industry to come in here in this city and take advantage of our community. So I respect Mayor Rogers for that, and we joined along with him in that effort. We want to make sure no one's going to come in our community and take advantage of our citizens. You guys have worked too hard, you've invested too much, and we're going to stay in that fight with you guys to make sure we bring the economy back here in Dalton, bring more business back here, more job opportunity, and safer streets. One of the initiatives that Mayor Rogers has been partnering with the county sheriff for the last few months has been a great initiative to be able to reduce crime, to make our streets safer, to make sure our communities are the best communities to live in the South suburban area. So thank you for your leadership, Mayor. We definitely appreciate that, and I enjoy partnering with you to make sure that our communities are held in the highest regard. One thing that Representative Davis didn't mention when he was up here was that he's running for re-election. We need men like Representative Davis back in the State House to make sure that that we have partners who are advocating for our needs in our communities. That's important. So make sure if you didn't take the time, if you live in the 30th district, that you take the time to sign this petition and make sure that we are supporting good candidates like Representative Davis. Myself, I have the daunting task of not only being your guys' state senator, but have an opportunity as I make my progress to run for United States Senate. Illinois, we're at a crossroads, and we need leadership. We need someone who can articulate the values and needs of our constituencies and our communities. I provide that. As an entrepreneur and a business leader in this community, I'm a job creator. I've created jobs. As a state senator, I voted for legislation to help our seniors, to help child care. And as a business owner, I voted to raise the minimum wage because I understand that a good paying job has good paying outcomes. No one should work for 40 hours a week and still live in poverty. We need to work progressively to have job reforms. We need to make sure that we have economic outcomes that reflect our district. And more importantly, we need to have a community approach to make sure that we're living out our best deeds going forward. So as I step forward and make my run for United States Senate, I definitely will be dependent on my home base of Dalton, Illinois, and this esteemed group of people in here to make sure that we're fighting in this state at the federal level for more progress. I mean, you think about it. You've seen these debates, and you've seen the issues that we fought for federally. Voting Rights Act, child care initiatives, jobs and economic stability. These are issues that not only plague us locally, but on the federal level as well. When you look at these debates and you see whether it's Democrat or Republican, you see the issues that are laid out in front of us. These are serious issues that needs leadership. Needs someone who's going to stand up for the working class rights of families here in Illinois. And people say, well, why Napoleon Harris? I understand these issues. That's what's so impressive or so important to me, because I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like not to have, and I know the situation that families are forced with. As Representative Davis mentioned, our governor cut child care. When you cut child care, you limit possibilities and you limit opportunities for working class men and women who depend on these services to go to school, to better themselves educationally so they could get better jobs, or you limit their opportunities to go to work. So how could you say you're for jobs when you're all in essence having a reverse outcome and you're limiting people from going to work because they have to stay at home to take care of their children? As government, our job is not to suppress people, it's to help. My job is to help in any way, shape, or form to help each and every citizen in this state, in this district, reach their potential. And as the next senator of this great state of Illinois, I will be looking for you, for your support, and hopefully I can live up to the expectations that you guys see fit. My name is Napoleon Harris. I'm your senator. I'm here for you to provide an opportunity and open up economic opportunities and other opportunities for you. And at this time, any questions that you guys would like to ask me, I would definitely welcome it, but more importantly, I welcome your input because I think it's important to have that communication. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning.
If you repeat the question.
I am a resident of Dalton, but I also ride the Metro train, which is down by your office. It is so dark when I get off the train in the evening, and I am fearful of standing there waiting to catch the bus or get to my car because the parking lot is so dark. It's dangerous because there's no assistance enough getting out of that parking lot. There's been accidents there. So I didn't understand why is the light down near the school, but not so that it can assist us getting out of the parking lot. Why is the parking lot so dark? In where your business is and where we park.
The question is, it's a public safety issue of the parking lot and the security of the Metro parking lot. I've had a meeting with Metro on yesterday, actually, so it's very warranted that you asked that question. As far as the parking lot, that's owned by a private business, and we've been working with the business manager for that parking lot to replace bulbs or to get the necessary lighting equipment to change out, to upgrade to LED form. He said he's in the process of upgrading the lights for the parking lot. As regards to Metro is going through a shift in leadership and a shift in how they do business. From our conversations on yesterday, they're looking to increase patrol, increase the Metro Police Department. Out of 200 stations, 230 stations, 225 stations that they only have 100 officers. So that was a that was an issue. They've had some issues at certain stations in regard security. So we were talking about a situation where they can have security on the platform as well as getting out when people are leaving and exiting, as well as monitoring property throughout the day, because you guys entrust the parking lot attendants, you entrust to leave your cars there while you go off to work, and you entrust that when you come back that everything's going to be intact. And those are expectations that rightfully so that you guys should demand. And that's something that we're going to hold Metro accountable for. And they've stepped up to the plate and said they're willing to take on that challenge to make sure that they update those things, to make sure that people feel safe in that environment, because they understand that ridership is important. And if you guys don't ride the train, they don't receive that revenue to make their business model grow. So those things are going to be addressed. As it relates to the school light, that's something that I can talk with the local municipality of Harvey, because that's actually on the dividing line between Harvey and Dalton. The purpose of that school light was really to help traffic for the school coming out, and it really wasn't per se put in for Metro itself. But I think we could do a better job with directing traffic out of the Metro lot during those heavy traffic times to alleviate traffic once people are coming home from work. Yes, ma'am.
The name of the company that you've been in negotiations with, you didn't mention the company.
Argyle Glass Company.
My question is, in conjunction with the Metro, is there a number or is there a website we can go to get that information concerning the South Suburban area, and particularly that location? Can we go online somewhere to find out what our concerns?
I don't think there's a specific number, but I know that Metro, they did leave in my office on yesterday the Metro brochures, and I'm sure in that brochure they have the email address, like an 800 number, customer service number where you can voice your concerns. But rest assured, they were very humble, to say the least, in making sure that those issues with Metro will be resolved, because they understand that the South Suburban region, particularly the district that I represent, has a high Metro ridership, and they don't want to in no way, shape, or form jeopardize people not using their services.
Also, what we could do, if the mayor's pleasure, is one of their government affairs representatives lives in the South Suburbs.
Correct.
And we can invite them to a meeting like this so they can hear directly from you about their concerns. And then another avenue to try to address concerns.
Repeat that. Repeat what he said.
Please, we can make sure that they.
So one of the suggestions by Representative Davis was we'll contact Metro's governmental affairs, and maybe at one of the upcoming coffees with the mayor, we'll bring them out so they can directly address these concerns directly with the citizens. So thank you, Representative Davis, for that.
One thing I want to say is that
Give him the mic.
the Metro, one thing I'd like to say is that the Metro station is not in our town. It's actually in Harvey. Our boundaries stop at the last building next to the car wash. That stoplight, the east side of Sibley Boulevard is Dalton. The north side of Sibley Boulevard is Dalton. The south side is Harvey. So our boundary stops at the last building next to the car wash there. We initially were on the same circuit from Wentworth Avenue on the east, going into Harvey. There were some issues there. We asked our electric company, which is me, which also services Harvey, to cut our, if you will, association with that portion of the village. So they came out and divided their circuit that joined us with Harvey, and up to that stoplight. The stoplight actually is Harvey. Now, there's three jurisdictions there. It's Dalton on the north, Harvey on the south, and then the state of Illinois maintains Sibley Boulevard, which is Route 83. It's a state-maintained road. So when you talk about improvements there, it really needs to be a collaborative effort between all jurisdictions. Now, I know at one time, during the heavy peak time, Metro and Harvey had provided some traffic assistance there with exiting the lot. I'm not sure what's happening now, but there is a shortage, like the senator said, in regards to police and employees for Metro. So I would suggest that you contact Metro with your concerns, possibly contact the city of Harvey, and I'm quite sure that Mayor Kellogg, along with State Representative Will Davis and State Senator Harris, can possibly put a little bit of pressure on Metro to provide some additional safety efforts for residents that use that facility, Metro facility, because it's not just, that just doesn't serve Harvey, it serves a number of residents. A number of our residents use the Metro there, South Holland, so it could be a collaborative effort to try to get something going there. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
My question is addressed to you, Senator Harris, and to State Rep Davis and anyone else that's involved in the funding situation down in Springfield. We're all aware that Governor Warner, or I call him Governor 1%, has a list of things that he's demanding in exchange for just being humane. Okay? Does we have a progressive caucus? I know there's a black caucus, but there's a progressive caucus that has a list of things that you can do to reduce our deficit, whether it's the top 2% of the corporate budget. They have all the money. They've got all the tax breaks. There are things that can be done with stock transactions and all kinds of things. And there's a specific list that you all have that can counter his list and that you can get to the media, because everything I see coming out of the corporate media is all about what he wants, but I don't see what you all are putting out as opposed to what you can do on behalf of the people. And there should be some kind of list, in my opinion, that should be publicized and drumming the same message that they've been doing. That's one thing that the conservatives do very well, is drum a message, and they take control of the conversation, and we end up being the reactionary party rather than the proactive party.
Fair question. He said, what can be done to make sure that our message is presented versus the other side's message? Well, I think it's important to note, not only when you say, well, what are we negotiating for, but more importantly, what we stand for. I think as Democrats and as leaders in our community, we've presented a budget. We've sent that budget to the governor. He vetoed that budget. That budget outlined what we stand for. That budget funded education. That budget funded child care. That budget took care of our social services. That budget was a representation of the needs of our communities. He had the liberty to use his pen and his executive office to say no. That's strictly on the governor. As we put it, we've made all the strides in the world. We've caucused this. We've came back to our communities. We sought your input and said, what is it? Is it important for you to cut child care? Is it important for you to cut senior services? These are the things that the governor saw fit to cut. Now, we've outlined these things because these are our values. This is what we believe in. So we've done those things. As regards to what he wants, we cannot exchange our values and principles that we believe in order for some extreme ideology that has never been proven to work.
I understand what you're saying, but my point is simply this. Present him with alternatives that can replace the revenue that he claims that he's saving by destroying these programs. And by these things, I mean things like, corporate taxing and things of this nature. That's what I'm saying. We make a list of those things, alternate revenue sources that balance the scale other than balancing everything on the backs of the working and poor people. That's what I was referring to.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm telling you, he's not interested in that. He's only interested because those things have been presented in the form of a budget. The thing, like, it's easy for anybody to write ideas on a sheet of paper, and that means nothing. That just means it's an idea. What makes it real is when it goes into legislation, when it goes into a budget. We've presented that. He fully understands our values and the things that we need and the things that's important to our communities. He refuses to work in reason with those items.
Basically, I was just trying to get the conversation changed, get the media to focus on the other alternate side of the budget cutting process, because everything seems to be going towards working with poor people. And I don't see anything in the media about things that can be done to the top tier of the income earners. That's what I was suggesting. I understand the budget process.
What you're saying, though, that doesn't sell paper, that doesn't sell newspapers. The media doesn't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the issues that's important to our community, the issues that people are losing jobs because they can't pay for child care, to send their kids to go so they can go off to work. People not going to school, or people that are constricted with high college loans and debt. They don't want to talk about that. They just want to talk about the Democrats and the Republicans are at a stalemate. I mean, we know this. We know the issues, and everyone knows the issues. I think it's important for us to not, at this particular time, we've, as they say, we've weathering the storm, so to speak, and it's not a time to cave in. It's a time to, as my mom used to say, when you get in tough times, you stand up. And when you stand up, you fight back. So at this time, we're not going to cave into the governor's inhumane request for our citizens. We're going to stand up and we're going to fight back. Because I think those issues and those values are important. Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to thank you for something. I had a question about some recent legislation over the summer. And I walk along Sibley Boulevard quite a bit. So I stopped in your office and I asked the young lady there to get me some more information. And she did a very good job of getting me that information. And I wanted to thank you so you could thank her for me for what she looked up for me.
Well, thank you, sir. I definitely appreciate that. That means a lot because our offices are constructed to help our constituents. And so it's really important to hear stories like that and to make sure that we're having the resources available to make sure that your issues are met. So thank you.
There's something else I wanted to mention to you about that section of Sibley Boulevard. I don't know how it is on the other side of the street, but on the north side of the street, after they did the repaving, when they ground down the surface of the existing roadway, a lot of rubble ended up on the sidewalk. And when they finished that job, that rubble is still there, which makes it hard to walk on because it's very easy to slip and fall. If maybe you could take a look at that near your office and contact whoever is responsible for that to have them get that rubble off the sidewalk.
Thank you for your concern, sir. And we'll definitely take a look at that, and we'll call the necessary parties to see if we can address that. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Question. Can you tell us the position or the areas that Pastor Meeks holds? Is he education? Can you explain that?
Yes, he's of the State Board of Education. He's the chairman of the State Board of Education.
And then Corey Brooks, what is the position that he holds?
I don't believe currently he holds a position. I believe he was maybe recommended for a position with the Tollway Authority, but I don't believe he's been confirmed.
Okay, so the Tollway Authority he was recommended for.
Recommended for, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Meeks was
State Board of Education.
Okay, because I think it's important that we understand all those areas and understand those how we can get emails or concerns to those individuals because they supported the governor, along with a lot of other people. But still, understanding education is a key factor, very important that we see no movement in. And as for yourself and Representative Will Davis, I appreciate you guys and Mr. Creighton and I in understanding what you do for us in the South and this community and our communities. But we need to make sure that all of us are collectively making sure that those individuals and the others know what our concerns are. We can give those things to you, but also there's power in numbers. And those numbers don't have to be where I have to be right there on the spot. I can pick up a pen, or I can get to my email, or I can have my grand or my child make sure that those issues are made known that are important to us. Because the child care initiative, all those things, the helpers that help home health care, those things are important. So I think it's important that we understand, to me, because my thing was that, okay, Meeks, you're part of the education component. What are you doing? I don't hear anything. Now, is there something that he's doing regarding helping us with education? Are you aware of it? There's some role that he's playing?
Well, I believe as the chairman of education, I think all things education in some form or fashion has to come across his desk. I think there's a lot of things being done in various sectors of our government, but I think the underlying portion is that we don't have a state budget. And I think that's the majority of that's what's taking all the steam, all the time, and all the attention. And I believe once we come up with a solution to our state budgetary problem, that other issues of government is going to function better, and they're going to be, as they say, laser-like approach to addressing some of those issues. Because we all know education is the foundation for everything that we do. So without a strong foundation for education, our youth are going to be lost. So we can't neglect that. Education is so important. That's something I'm committed to, education. That's something that I fight hard for, and that's something that we as legislators definitely understand. That as I stand before you today, Representative Davis is the chair, of an educational committee down in Springfield. But so he's not only has the task of making sure that his own district has a great educational outcome, but the entire state. So he definitely has a strong grasp of where our educational system is and things that need to be done to reflect those values of what needs to be done for all of our youth as regards to education. With that being said, I thank you for having this opportunity to come before you to speak today. For those of you who don't know where my office is, it's 369 East 147, right next to the Vegas Pizza, on Sibley next to the metro station. You can follow me on Facebook, Napoleon Harris III. You can follow me on Twitter at Napoleon_Harris, or you can follow me at the website for additional information at SenatorNapoleonHarris.com. I think it's important that we stay engaged, that we stay involved, and that we communicate. Because if I don't know your issue, I cannot help you with it. One thing that I'm so impressed about is the attentiveness and the questions that's being asked by this group. I think it's important because it shows that you guys are engaged and that you guys care about your community. We need to get more people in here, and we need to tell our neighbors about it. Because I think that's what's going to grow the community, and that's what's going to help us as legislators to be stronger in our will to fight for the working needs of our communities. Thank you, and thank you, Mayor Rogers, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. You know what you are seeing today, and this is one of the reasons why Coffee with the Mayor is so important, and your presence here and attendance here is so important, because you're having the opportunity to hear directly from a Senator Harris or a Representative Davis and actually get your concerns addressed. And the Mayor has placed a premium on being in communication with you, the constituents, and those who have residents of the Village of Dalton who have needs. With that in mind, I'd like to make sure that everyone is aware of a very important person working out of the Mayor's office, his Chief of Staff, Elizabeth Scott. Please stand so everyone can see you. Many of these concerns, absolutely. Many of the concerns within the village that are coming up, you can go ahead and give her a call, and we'll continue to have a high level of engagement and make sure that everything that you want to be solved, all the problems and things that you all are addressing, that they will be solved. I also want to draw your attention to this really quickly. You probably are holding this survey. If you haven't got one of these, we want to make sure that you get one, and please fill it out before you leave, because this is what we're going to use to assist us in keeping in communication with you and addressing your needs. Just talks to you about email if you have any questions or if you need a pen. Beverly is circulating around. She'll be able to assist you with that. Your feedback is very important, very valuable, and we want to hear from you and know everything that is going on and everything that concerns you so that we can address it. At this time, we are going to go to another phase. Of course, we are talking to our elected officials. We have D. Renee Jackson, who is, of course, we can't endorse anyone. We're not endorsing anyone here, but we are providing an opportunity for our friends to have an opportunity to have some words and to speak with you. So at this time, I'd like to bring forth D. Renee Jackson to have some words for you. Please bring her on with a round of applause.
Good morning, Dalton and friends of Dalton. Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is D. Renee Jackson. I'm running for judge in the 2nd Sub-Circuit. and that sub-circuit includes a great deal of Dalton. I believe that if you live on the west side of the Calumet Expressway or Bishop Ford, that would be in the second sub-circuit. Again, I'm running for judge for a pretty simple reason. It's time that we have greater diversity on the bench. Greater diversity on the bench will mean a lot in a lot of different areas that were discussed here today. It will mean a lot in the lives of our children, of our family members, of businesses. And lots of times when we talk about justice, most folks only think about the criminal courts. But the thing that I'm emphasizing during my campaign is that justice should be done and served in any courtroom in Cook County. So whether that's a criminal courtroom, a domestic relations courtroom, an elder courtroom, bankruptcy, no matter what courtroom you're in Cook County, justice should be served. I have over 26 years of legal experience with over 9 as a practicing attorney. And I've been fortunate enough to work in so many different areas of the law. So what I will bring to the bench is a great perspective of what the needs of our citizens are. I will remember that I am elected to serve, and that in order to serve, I must serve with justice, with fairness, and with compassion. Perspective on the bench really matters. Right now, it's a big tagline, everything matters. Black lives matter, this matters, and it all does matter, including the black robe. The person in the black robe truly matters. I'm asking for your support on March 15th, 2016, so that together we can begin to make a change in our justice system. It's true that I'll only be one judge in one courtroom and one courthouse, but we have to start this one step at a time, one election cycle at a time. And by doing that, we will begin to see overall changes in the way justice is dispensed in Cook County. So again, if I did not have the opportunity to speak with you before the meeting, I will be around. Feel free to ask me questions. I want to meet everyone so that you get to personally know me. Another challenge that judges have is that most folks don't make it to the end of the ballot. They vote for 4 or 5 of the offices at the top, and when they get to the judges, they don't know the judges, so they either skip the whole exercise of voting for judges, or they start guessing. The benefit of judges or judges-elect coming out speaking to folks is that you have an opportunity to at least spend a minute or two with me. And I also have a website, a Facebook page. I invite you to like me on Facebook, to follow me, to get to know me better. I have a committee number. If you have further questions, I am welcome and open to each and every resident in the second sub-circuit getting to know me better so that I earn your support on March 15th, 2016. Thank you.
Dean Renee Jackson, give her a round of applause. And we also have a sitting judge here today. You may have seen us walking around giving some of these hand sanitizers. This is something that you'll need right now, especially as we get into cold season. It's useful. We have Judge Mariam Ahmed, who is here with us today, and she's going to have a few words. Please receive her.
Thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Judge or Mayor Riley Rogers. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. In December of 2014, the Illinois Supreme Court appointed me judge to fill the vacancy of a retiring judge, Judge Cynthia Brim. The reason I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court is because I have a very unique legal background. For many years, I worked in civil court representing families of individuals who had filed wrongful death actions I've represented individuals in employment discrimination lawsuits, and I actually represented pastors in helping them copyright their intellectual property. I moved on from that work to criminal law. And when I came to criminal law, I represented individuals charged with crimes, defendants. And I worked for the largest law firm, criminal defense law firm in Cook County, which is the Cook County Public Defender's Office. So I represented individuals charged with the most serious types of crimes, felonies, at 26 in California. The one thing that that experience taught me is that no matter how serious a person's situation is, that they deserve zealous representation. And no one wants to be in criminal court. No one wants to be in criminal court. But if you want someone who's going to represent your interests and stand up for your rights, regardless of what the situation is. You want a zealous advocate. So for many years, that's what I was. But I realized while doing that work that there was another group that needed to have their interests looked after, and that's those who are victims of crime. So I'm actually one of the few people, the few attorneys in Cook County who started out as a Cook County public defender and moved to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. And actually, that's one of the main reasons the Illinois Supreme Court appointed me judge. For many years, I worked as a prosecutor representing individuals charged with crimes, actually right down the street at Markham Courthouse and later at 26 in California. So now as a judge sitting in criminal court, when individuals come before me, I am zealous about making sure that those who are charged with crimes have their rights respected with compassion and justice, but I'm also looking out for victims of crime to make sure that they receive the justice they deserve. My biggest belief is that everyone deserves justice in Cook County. So it's justice for all, not for some. Justice for all, not for some. That's what I bring to the bench as a judge every day. Additionally, I'm running to maintain my position. Regardless of who comes before me, I will ensure that their rights are respected, that the law is followed, and that it is followed in an equal way, because as you know with the scales of justice represent equality, and that's what I'm about. One final word. This is influenza and cold season. I have with me my official Judge Mariam Ahmed hand sanitizers, and because I'm looking out for your health and well-being, had to bring them along with me to make sure you're safe. So please see me if you haven't received those by the end of the, I'll be here at the end of the program. I'm Judge Mariam Ahmed. AHMAD is my last name. Please remember me, March 15, 2016. Thank you.
Give her a round of applause. I want you to save the date. The Village of Dalton, Mayor Riley Rogers is hosting a seniors Thanksgiving dinner that is on Tuesday, November 24th. It is free from 3 to 7, but you'll have to call an RSVP. That's very important. The number, I'll give it right now, but before you leave, grab this. We'll make sure that we have enough to give to you. This is for the seniors. 708-201-1690, 708-201-1690, Tuesday, November 24th, Thanksgiving dinner. All right? We want to call forth at this time Trustee Valerie Stubbs, who's going to have some words for you. So please receive her. Or she's getting some of her hand sanitizer real quick, but if you can receive Trustee Stubbs.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I was over here bonding because when she mentioned victim witness and she look out for the victim, I used to work at 26 in California, and I went down to the victim witness program on numerous occasions. and got information from people that was victims of crime. So I was over here bonding. I have some sanitizer. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank these gentlemen because they're always visible. I always see them in my community. I don't have a problem with telling anybody about the senator, the state rep, because I always see them in our house. If you're married, you have a husband, and he don't come home, he don't bring no money home, then you get rid of him. These gentlemen here, I'm going to keep because I see them. In order to do this job, you have to have passion and compassion for people. You have to have a love for them. I want to thank Mayor Riley for putting together this great guest that came out and inviting you guys out. I want everybody to come out on the 24th. Also to the senior citizens, Thanksgiving Day dinner. It will be held here. Tell your friends. Also, I want to reiterate on one thing. Everybody needs to get on their telephone and talk to people about what's going on in Springfield. You need to call all your neighbors up, and you need to come out to meetings like this so you can get information and pass it on. You also need to tell your people about voting, because that's the only way we're going to get something done in our communities, if we actually come out and vote. It's deplorable to me, and I was just in Tennessee last week, and I went to a plantation. I went to Treasurer's Plantation in Nashville, Tennessee, where I had an opportunity to see the names of the slaves that was on the wall that they sold for $1.50. I got a chance to see the quarters that they lived in. And if we don't get out to vote, then I can't say that because I can't go there. But you have to fire your people up, fire the residents up, keep having meetings like this. Get on the phone, talk to your friends about what's going on in Springfield. And one last note. My grandmother, when she passed, she was 92 years of age. After my mom died, she used to take care of all her business, so I got the pleasure of doing that. And I didn't realize that my grandmother only received $500 a month in her Social Security. And then I started understanding about the choice between food and medication. And we all need to be on our phones telling everybody about what's going on in Springfield, and have them to call their legislators, have them to call the governor's office and send a message to him on what we want. And stop like sitting back to the wayside doing nothing. Thank you. God bless you and have a great day.
All right, at this time, we're going to bring before you someone who's usually behind the camera, but we're going to bring the media director, Edward Steve, to give you some information about our current multimedia offerings.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Edward Steve. I'm the media director. I want to remind everybody that Channel 4 is on AT&T now. So if you have Comcast, you have Channel 4, but now you have AT&T, you have Channel 4. You just go to 99, which is the AT&T community television station, and you look for Dalton, Illinois Community TV. So you can keep up with the board meetings and what's going on in Dalton. I encourage people to go to Channel 4 because the slideshow is updated with current events. Like there's a Toys for Tots coming from the police department going on right now. There's a basket that's being given away from Ms. Creighton. There's things that's going on. Also the website. So if you do not have cable, you can also go to the website. The events, things that are going on in the village are updated on a daily basis. So if you want to know what's going on, if you don't have Channel 4, if you don't have a cable, you can always go to the website. In that form that went out, put your email address on there because we send out email blasts. Also what's going on in the village. So we want to increase the communication so residents won't say, well, I didn't know. I want to get to the point where everybody knows what's going on through TV, through internet, through the email, through Facebook, whatever they can. This is the phone right here, so put your email address there, and I send out email blasts of what's going on in the village. So that's another means of communication. Thank you.
At this time, I think we're going to have some words from our Honorable Mayor, Riley Rogers. Ready? Okay.
Thank you. I want to, come on up, Rashad. This young man, I talked about him briefly last meeting. He's here today volunteering. He volunteered last time. But he's done a tremendous job at no cost to us. Somewhere down the line, I'd like to bring him on in the village because we need good people to make our engine continue to go. But when people come out and volunteer, you know, one of the biggest requests that we get in my office is, Mayor, I need a job. I need a job. I voted for you. I need a job. Well, there was over 1,500 people that voted for me. Certainly we don't have 1,500 jobs. But what we do have, we have a high unemployment rate here at about 19%. And if we can, we try to promote different people. We get a number of resumes, and we try to direct them in other areas if we cannot employ them, and we cannot employ everybody. But what we try to do when we do employ people, in some cases, I'll be very honest with you, there are some political aspects that are in consideration when we employ people. We try not to take people in that case. We try to take good qualified people for the areas that we need to get served in. So it creates anger in some cases. It sometimes creates enemies. But I think that the residents of Dalton has been underserved for quite a long time. We need to bring competent people and competent services to be very effective to do our job for the residents here in the village of Dalton. So I just wanted to mention that. I thank you for your service, Rashad. The other thing is that this is the election season. And as you go forward in the election season, you'll hear people and you'll see people and you'll get them knocking on your door to sign a petition. And to be quite frank with you, there's some petitions out there against me. Now, sometimes when people get these elected seats, they think it's their seat. It's not their seat. It's the residents' seat, the people that elect you. And just as well as you get elected and you decide to serve, you become a target for certain things. And, but while you're in the seat, or any elected seat, you have to serve to the best of your ability. And you always have to keep in the back of your mind that, you know, after my term is up, I may be unemployed and I'm out of the seat. But you continue to try to do the best job that you can. So, and that's what I'm here to try to do. These elected officials here, State Representative Will Davis, Senator Harris, and our candidates, that the ones that are here today, I am actually supporting. It's your decision to support them if you want. But when they're out collecting signatures, or other people that are out collecting signatures, and they ask for your signature on that petition, you want to make sure that that's somebody that you want in that seat if they get elected. You know, you say, oh, no matter, just sign right here. But it does matter, because you should hold your elected officials to a certain standard, and you should make sure, and this is not a 9-to-5 job. Senator, he gets calls in the middle of the night, state rep, I get plenty of calls in the middle of the night. I'm happy to have on board our police chief who takes a number of them and kind of filters them away. But there's certain emergency situations, there's certain situations that we have to be notified for, and we are notified for, other than having the news media knock on the door and say, you know about this, and we don't know about it, and we try to make it as easy as it possible to get the right answer out, but you got a TV camera in your face. So one of the things that we try to do here in this administration is to provide communication for you. My last 2 years has been very, very trying and rough on me. And part of that was
make sure that you didn't get communication. The newspaper was cut out, Channel 4 was cut out. After the election, this past election, I've got some support from the trustee that ran and won, and we brought back that communication. And we're continuing to try to give you additional communication at every level. The old Channel 4 was stale. The information was put out on a sporadic basis. Not only have we brought Channel 4 back, not only have we brought the newspaper back, but we communicated with AT&T, those people, residents that have UVerse. They can view our village board meetings and meetings like this. But the old-fashioned way, we have a number of unemployed people in our community that don't have internet, don't have access to cable, but we still want to get communication out to them, and that's why we put the newspaper out the old-fashioned way. And we can't put everything in there that we do. We have a number of meetings on a regular basis that go on to try to improve this community. And I think if Jesus Christ was in this position, he still would have some opposition. But there's some people that just don't want us to move forward. And that's what we have to fight against. And that's what we continue to fight against. And I try to do the best job I can. I try to surround myself with smart people smarter than me. I reach out to the people that can help us. There's a stalemate in Springfield right now. But they're still fighting for us. It's communication, and we have the communication. And I just want you to know that we want to provide you with communication. If you call us, we don't have the answer, we try to find out for you. So bear with us, because we cannot change what has happened for many years in 2 years or over. We've started our tree cutting program last year. We've trimmed over 100 trees last year. We cut down about 40 trees. We've got a number of trees that are diseased. As soon as we start cutting trees, and there hadn't been tree cutting done in many years, the phones start jumping off the hook. Cut my tree, cut my tree, cut my tree, cut my tree. But what we took into consideration is the priorities. Priorities where there have been problems with safe passage of tree roots. These trees have been here for a number of years. We wanted to correct those. We have a problem with the ash borer beetle that jump from tree to tree. You'll see a number of trees that are dead on the top and live on the bottom. They like to go to the top first and eat there. It's softer food for them. And they'll jump to another tree, another tree. So I had our tree service come in. We've identified a number of trees that's going to cause many of our other trees to die in the community. That is a priority for us. We took into consideration some of those trees that were overhanging some of our residents' property. We trimmed some of those. But what we're trying to do is identify some of those trees that will cause us a problem during storms like we just had over the last couple of days with 50-mile-an-hour winds. And it has actually saved us money by not being able to dispatch public works to clean up streets and cause us overtime. So we want to be in a preventive mode rather than a reactive mode when we take in consideration the service that we provide here in the village of Dalton. So we're getting better. Are we there? No. You know, when I came in, we had about 13 people in public works. Now we're up to about 20, I think 21, and it makes a difference. We got a day shift and an afternoon shift now. Some of the things that we need to address occur in the afternoon, so I wanted to make that happen. We're coming into the winter season. Thank God, even this far, we didn't need to use salt, and we haven't had the need to have overtime for our public works people. So I'm glad the man upstairs is providing us with some good weather right now. But believe me, we're prepared. We're prepared. I've got some board members now that's willing to assist and take the residents' interests wholeheartedly first to try to service you the best that we can. One thing I want to say is that, and a number of you may not know, is that our water department is in the drive-up facility of our new village hall. A number of people come into our lobby. They don't have to do that. You can drive right up and pay your water bill, pay for a ticket, and it's a convenience. And what we're trying to do is reduce the walk-in traffic in the village there to pay water bills. Hopefully, our water department is much friendlier now. We want to provide you better customer service, but certainly you don't have to leave your car to pay your water bill. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's any other village that provides that service for you. We were fortunate enough to get the MB Bank building donated to us at no cost. They gave us a $10,000 check up front for us to get the initial, have our initial move-in, help us with our initial move-in cost. So I'm very happy that we're in that building. It's serving us well. So please, for your convenience, consider using the drive-up. Okay, today at 11 o'clock, we have some representatives from CETA program here that's going to answer questions and or try to assist you in getting services for your utilities. So, so at any rate. Also, we've just been joined by our other state representative, Thaddeus Jones. I'd like for him to come up and say a few words. Now, one of the things I found out since I was elected is that we had a number of complaints coming in. I mean, that first year was crazy in regards to complaints. And it's minimized now. We get 200 phone calls, 300 phone calls a week. We probably get 30 a week now. So we must be doing something right, but it just takes time to do it. And I understand that those complaints are individual complaints. They're personal, those people that call and make those complaints, and it's important to them. And we're trying to do a better job to serve it. And one of those things that we reach out for is, of course, a lot of elected representatives. So, State Representative Thaddeus Jones.
Thank you. You heard the mayor say the soul. I thought he was going to finish that. But, good morning, everyone. I'm apologize for being late. I was at a couple of funerals. I have another one to go to. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. You know, I think we have an awesome responsibility as state representatives and senators to make sure that we please the public and we make sure that we honor and listen to your concerns. And part of that, you should know what we do as state representatives to make sure that we go down to Springfield and advocate on your behalf. And our role as supportive to the village, bringing resources back to the mayor and making sure that we hear your concerns. And I think yesterday was evident with all of us working together to try to keep a business in the community. Hopefully at some point when the mayor announces that, you guys will know the hard work that we put in Springfield. How many of you guys that know Springfield is a mess? It's not our fault. It's this guy that starts with an R fault. But you know, we're down in Springfield not only advocating for seniors, advocating for child care, but advocating for the community. That's what you sent us down to Springfield to do. And if at any point you call my office or my office doesn't get back to you, I want you to make sure that you not only call me personally. I have my cards and I've always given out my cell phone number to make sure that you call me and let me know ways that we can work together. My office is down the street in Pete's. Any of you guys shop at Pete's? All right, I didn't make Pete's, but they have good produce there, I heard. But make sure you come in. I'm in the office Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, and Sundays. So if you're there, you can stop by. If you have any issues, make sure you call me. I have my cell phone, have my personal email. I want to make sure that I'm handling your concerns. We all work together, not only Representative Davis and Senator Harris, but we want to make sure that we do things not only for the 15th district, but also for the 30th and 29th district to make you proud of us. These are tough times. The governor has cut a lot of programs. We want to ensure that we get those programs back, and after we beat him in 2017 and he's no longer the governor, or 2018 he's no longer the governor, we'll make sure that things get back on track. But you have a great mayor in Mayor Riley Rogers. We work together probably like maybe 7 to 8 years, making sure that we work with the public and general assistance. So continuing that relationship that we had and continuing to do the good things for the people of Dalton, I want to make sure that you guys' concerns are answered and make sure that we're working with the mayor to get your needs handled. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I'll turn the mic back over to the mayor.
I would say, I want to say about State Representative Thaddeus Jones is that we've had some knockdown fights. I mean, really knockdown fights. Yelling, screaming, throwing stuff across the room in regards well, but in regards to what I need towards for here, for this community. And afterwards, we sat down, we made it happen. So sometimes we're not all on the same page at the same time, but the final analysis is that we make it happen. And the reason, we're fighting for the same thing, is to help the residents. So I just wanted to let you know that. And thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yesterday, and both the senators, both state reps touched on a very important meeting that we had yesterday about one of our biggest employers here in the village of Dalton. And it used to be the old Ball glass plant, manufacturing plant. Then it was called St. Cobain, and now they have new owners by the name of Ardagh. They employ about 420 people here in the village, and majority of those employees live outside the village of Dalton. Now, they start off at $19 an hour. However, there are some very restrictive and very conditions that causes them to have a huge turnover in employees. Their average employee makes about $60,000 a year. There's some that make well over $100,000. Now, the conditions in that manufacturing plant is about, temperature-wise, about 120 degrees. As you know, or as you may not know, is that to make glass, you have to have heat. Two components of making glass is heat and water. It's heating to form the glass mold, or however they make it, and then the water to cool it off. To give you the size of production there, I think it was like, well, they have 3 plants in the state of Illinois. They used to have 7. But like in every industry, there's competitors. The glass industry competitors are plastic now. You used to get your ketchup in glass bottles, it's in plastic. So they're competing. But one thing I want you to know is that they have a revolving door there, and they always are hiring. They're at 141st and Cottage Grove. It's called Ardagh. So some of the conditions, the heat conditions for one, and it's a very dangerous position because you can get burned, you can lose limbs. So it's causing them a great turnover of with employees. But there are opportunities there if you want to seek employment. They're 24 hours. They have 3 blast furnaces there, and they continue to go 24 hours. Elizabeth, do you have something to say?
I just wanted to say that if anyone is interested in applying, I do have the information, the contact information for Ardagh to.
Okay. What we're going to try to do is we try to help them fill these positions. We're going to do a concerted effort, and Senator Harris just brought it up this morning. We're going to start taking applications in our office, and we want to give Dalton residents with our higher unemployment rate preference in hiring there. Now, this company wants some concessions to stay here. They're about to do a $23 million investment in one of their furnaces that they'd like to take place in April. And they want some assistance from every level of government, local, state, and they're getting some federal assistance, I understand, possibly. So we want some things also. And, but I think it's gonna work for both of us, and it may help get some of our residents gainfully employed. So those are some of the things that we do on a regular basis in negotiating new businesses to come in town and to try to help with employment.
Our fire chief, Chief McCain, is going to come forth. He's going to talk to us about something that they're doing for the children during this holiday season. If you could please bring forth with a round of applause, Pete McCain. Chief.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Please give a round of applause for the wonderful Mayor Riley Rogers. Mayor Rogers, good to meet you. New Deputy Fire Chief Donald Rush, if you could please stand up for a moment. And you've been chosen to come up here, sir. Before Chief Rush gets up here, I'd like to say I've worked with the man for the last 15 years of my career, and I can't say enough good things about him as he joins our team and our motives to be a community-oriented fire department and to help the residents out. So I'd like to please give a round of applause for Deputy Chief Don Rush.
Thank you, Mayor. It is more than a pleasure for me to stand here today with you guys. Excuse me, I'm a little choked up here. Working with my pal here for so many years, but I've been a public servant in the fire service for about 28 years. Matter of fact, my first home was right here in Dalton. And by virtue of all that is good, I'm back here to serve, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I came from Calumet Park. I served there as their assistant chief just recently. I just resigned there. I was there for 28 years, and also the village of Dalton, Robbins for 9 years. So a little bit well-versed in fire service, and I'm more than pleased to be here. So it is all that dwells within me. I'm gonna do my best to serve this village in fire service, emergency medical service, fire prevention. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. I am duly honored, truly honored to be here. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief Rush. Okay, really quick, because I know we have the CETA program that's going to get started, but I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here, our elected officials from the state. Yes. But mainly I'm up here to talk about the holiday toy and non-perishable food drive. Though it's being spearheaded through the fire department, this is truly a village-oriented program. It's something that's near and dear to Mayor Rogers and the rest of the village board, and we're spearheading it through the fire department, and we'd like to get all the residents involved. This is in addition to what Ms. Creighton has, and in addition to the Toys for Tots through the police department, but this is truly focused for village adult residents that are in need, okay? So we're here to collectively all meet the objectives to help our residents that are in need. And we're able to take any donations now through the fire department, through the village hall, Food for Less, Melanie Fitness, the Dorchester, coming within this week, we will have drop-off points for any residents who would like to help out with our objective here, which is to help our folks in need. And on December 21st, between noon and 5 o'clock, we'll be handing those out to adult residents that are in need. And all they need is to have a state ID, driver's license, and ID card to indicate that they're village adult residents, and that's all we're asking for. So please help our friends, our residents, our children that are in need for toys, food. Please drop that stuff off, those items off to the fire department, Food for Less, Melanie Fitness, Dorchester, and the Village Hall, where we can come together as a true family, a true village, and move forward and help our friends in need. So thank you very much.
Can you talk about the Fire Safety Academy? The Fire Safety Academy.
Thank you. There's so much going on, and Edward, who's been a great help for us, has reminded me also to talk about career development programs. It's our due diligence to give back as employees for this community, to give back to the residents. And something that's near and dear to my heart is the career development program that we're going to be partnering up with the police department as well, but we're starting with the fire department first. So starting in January of 2016, we're going to do a public safety academy with the first emphasis with the fire department. It's a free to the residents. Minimum age requirements is 18 years old. And basically it's going to give residents of Dalton an opportunity to be exposed to the fire service. They may have never thought of a career in the fire service, but we want to expose our residents to have an opportunity to think of a potential career in the fire service. It's going to be classroom-based. The applications are online. They also could be found at the Village Hall and the Fire Department. So please, if you know anyone that's interested in a potential career in the fire service, please sign up. They'll be Tuesday nights, approximately 6 o'clock at night till 8 or 9 at the latest, but they'll be classroom-based to hopefully feed the minds of the youth or any other individuals that are interested in the fire service. So again, I look to see our residents out there, and we look forward to help move forward with a career development program for our residents. Okay, any questions, concerns, comments? All right, thank you very much.
All right. At this time, we want to hear from our police chief. You know, the Coffees with the Mayor and all of our interaction is designed to give you information. So we want you to hear from all of our elected officials and department heads. So we're going to bring forth our police chief, Chief Robert Collins, receiving.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to touch a little bit. We always talk about public safety. We want to touch a little bit on about personal safety because of the upcoming holidays. And what I hate to hear every year is how people get victimized and robbed during the holidays, and they need their money to buy gifts for their loved ones. So some of the things that we can do to help protect ourselves, there's safety in numbers. If you have to go shopping, if you're afraid to be out there by yourself, go with somebody. Make sure you always have your cell phone handy so you can dial 911. Some people don't know that even if you have a cell phone that has no service, you can call 911 from that phone. So you can get out those old cell phones, charge them up, give them to people that you know that don't have one. You can call 911 from those phones. I mean, they'll be able to pinpoint your location even if you can't say a whole lot on it. Another thing is stick to lighted areas. Make sure you park in an area where it's very well lit. Stay out of the dark areas. Always be cognizant of your surroundings. Look around you. Before you pull out of your driveway, look around. Before you pull into your driveway, look around. Before you get to that store, scan the parking lot. Before you walk out of that store, scan the parking lot. Always be cognizant of your surroundings. So this year, I want everybody to refuse to be a victim. Refuse to be a victim. Thank you.
Some great helpful hints. We also want to inform you that we have a representative from Commissioner Stanley Moore's office who brought some literature. So before you leave out of here, she's there setting. Hold your hand up so they can see where you are, Judith. Thank you. And if you can, before you leave out, grab some of that information that is available as well. And we also have another sitting judge here with us who's going to have some words. Judge Frederick Bates is going to come before you and speak some words. Thank you. Welcome, Judge.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Rogers. I appreciate that. I was inducted into the Mendel Catholic High School Hall of Fame with his brother a couple of years ago. My name is Fred Bates. I'm an administrative law judge in Chicago. I have been for the last 15 years. For about 17 years before that, I was a trial lawyer in a large corporate law firm. I graduated from Mendel High School when I was 15 years of age. I'm the youngest graduate in the history of the school. And I graduated from Marquette University when I was 18 years old. I graduated at the top of my class from law school. I was an editor on the Law Review. I went on to become president of 2 bar associations in Chicago. So I don't tell you that to tell you that I'm smart and competent and deserve to be on the bench. I tell you that, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not even the smartest person in my own household. My daughter's working on a PhD at the University of Chicago, and my son's working on a master's at Northwestern. I was born and raised in Inglewood and Woodlawn. Those are communities we hear about on the news for all the wrong reasons. I represent what our young men can become if they're given an opportunity for education and employment, which our young men need in our